1, 2, 3.
Mama showed me how to get it down, YOLO. You only live once. Move your body to the rhythm now. You only live once. I said YOLO. Yeah, you only live once. The life we live in right now, you should understand you only live once. My mama be pissing. Because this YOLO. You only live once. Because YOLO.
YOLO. Healthy young people. Healthy young people. YMK. And I'm here in the studio with amazing young people from Hotcast. And when you say Hotcast, Hotcast, welcome to the YOLO YMK Chit Chat. And it's always a delight to come your way. It's always a delight to have you, especially you amazing young ones who we are nurturing to have a better future tomorrow. If this is the first time joining us, well, you've missed a lot. In our previous episode, we talked about peer pressure. We also talked about parent-adolescent relationship, especially when it comes to sexual and reproductive health issues. Today, we are going to touch on an amazing topic, and I want you to stick and stay. When we come back, I'll give you the details of who we are talking to and what we are talking about. YOLO!
You only live once. You only live your life just once, my party. Or so I'm told. Make the most out of
Everything side and it go to B. Say my name again.
head back, laugh the pain away. Living a better life is the case. You gon' be handled, whatever may come your way.
Hey! Hey! What is that?
You choose your friends.
I forget the rap song.
Welcome back. This is the YOLO YMK Chit Chat, and as I indicated before our break, we are talking about STIs and STDs, especially when it comes to the adolescent. We are very much involved in what they think about in these areas of their life as we tackle their sexual and reproductive health issues. Who can tell me what you know about STIs? Who is the first victim? Yeah?
Okay, to me, my idea about STI is that they are sexually transmitted infections that are transmitted from one infected person to another through sexual intercourse. It can be vaginal, oral, or anal.
That's a lot of details. And for example?
For example, syphilis, gonorrhea, and...
Oh, you said, or someone would have something to say. All right, so who else wants to add their voices? There is STD as well, STDs. Who wants to tell me what STDs are?
Okay, STDs are sexually transmitted diseases. Yes, and they are as a result of after the infection, the diseases we have after there have been maybe sexual intercourse and also interference.
Hey, you guys know.
YOLO. Yeah, you only live once.
YOLO. Welcome back from the break, and this time we're talking about STDs and STIs with the adolescent. It is expected that as parents, as guardians, as teachers, as society, and every single individual, it's our responsibility to nurture the young ones, especially in these areas that we shy away from, to help them know what they are about, because we know how sexually attractive they get when their hormones start raging and racing with them. And so, by kind courtesy, Ghana Health Service in partnership with the National Population Council and Ghana Education Service, we're bringing you the YMK Chit Chat on the YOLO series to talk about STIs and STDs. Today, we've been joined by a specialist with the public health specialist with the Legma Health Directorate of the Ghana Health Service in the person of Mrs. Edith Asari Mensah to help us do our discussion. Let's give her a better YOLO clap. Okay, so Ma, this is why you do this for YOLO. Oh. I'm only pulling your legs, don't mind me.
well.
Good to have you and welcome to the Chit Chat
Thank you.
show. So I'm sure you heard from the audience
Yes, I
what
did.
the understanding of STIs and STDs are. Before we get into anything that happened on the YOLO series, give us the difference between the STIs and the STDs.
Thank you very much. I think the guy who defined sexually transmitted infections mentioned that it could be gotten through mostly when you have an intercourse. When we talk about intercourse, he specifically categorized them: anal, oral, and vagina. So when it's a penetrative one, it means, and the person you are having the intercourse with has an infection, it means you are also likely to get the infection. But remember, even though they are sexually transmitted, there are organisms that are responsible for them. We have quite a number of them. Just to mention a few, we have the protozoa, the bacteria, the viruses, and to mention these few.
Okay.
Thank
So what might baffle you is that we've seen some young, exciting children or adolescents having fun, going to the club just to enjoy their friend's birthday party. But we know that one of the most admirable ones, like Cyril, ends up having his first sex. And the uncle says, oh, and it will happen again. And he says, no.
Looking at the relationship among the young adolescents we saw during the series, the fact that they interact with each other, go to the club, they take drinks and all those things. We realized that Jane was under the influence of alcohol when she had sex. So it could result either when Cyril would have wore the condom or wouldn't have wore, she could have exposed herself to STIs. And then looking at the other guy, the behavioral factors, the more sexual partners you have, the more your chances of getting STIs. That notwithstanding, you could also have an STI when you think probably some of these guys may end up brushing the vulva of the female and then thinking that because it wasn't penetrated, when we look at the definition for STI, because it was not penetrative, brushing alone. But the brushing, remember, the pre-ejaculatory fluid could also enhance the transmission of STI. Now let's look at the various categories. For STI, it's been categorized into 4. We have the discharges, we have the ulcers or the sores, we have the swellings, and we have the growth. For the discharges, looking at these pictures, viewers, please be warned of these pictures, though they are disgusting. And when you look at the discharge, looking at the male penis, the discharge coming out is more looking like a condensed milk. And then at a point in time during the sexual intercourse, if you, the female, you think he's okay, looking at his structure or anything, is very fine, you could have sex. If you are not careful and he's the type that is infected, you could easily be infected. Normally, these discharges are originated from Neisseria, gonorrhea, and chlamydia. And then for chlamydia, it's #1 causes of infertility among people who have fertility intentions. So look at the female. For female, we have normal discharges. When it's not profuse, it's not itchy, doesn't have a smell, then it means it's normal. But when it becomes to be profuse, looking at the female or genital organ here, it's becoming profuse, it's itchy. And then when you also urinate, you have pain, it means there's a concern. You must report to the nearest healthcare facilities. So this has to do with the discharges.
Don't hide it because you know that, oh, this is the only way that you can get this disease.
Exactly.
So if I mention it to someone, that means I have been improper or I have been indulging in adult behavior. Report as quickly as possible and desist from there, I believe. It's very important.
There are non-STI related ones, which are the fungal infection. For the fungal infection, it depends on the way we take care of ourselves. Now, a lot of things are on the market, the deodorant for the genital area, and we are using. But remember, the vagina itself is a self-cleansing organ. You don't need anything. Just an ordinary water, during your bath, you wash it. You don't even need soap to go there. And then you don't even need to put your finger there to scoop out the fluid that is there. When you do that, you make the natural flora impotent. They can't perform, exactly, they can't perform the function that they have to. So just leave your vaginas and your vulvas alone. And also the type of material that are made for your underwear. Please wear the cotton one. And then secondly, we also talk about the fact that when you go to the washroom, it's always important to clean from front to back, not cleaning from the back to the front. Also, when you are in your menses, when you are menstruating, make sure if you are the type that bleeds heavy, take your extra pads along and be changing it more often. Because the more you keep it moist, the more you can develop shock. Some women can die as a result of these things.
Say that again. The more you can develop
you can develop shock.
Shock.
Exactly.
Explain
because
that
when you bleed a lot, especially those who use the tampon, they insert it. Those of you who insert the tampon and then they think they are heavy bleeders and they don't want to be changing themselves. It's important that you use the sanitary pad there so that at least when it's draining, you can change it more often. And the more you keep the wet pad there, the more you can develop this fungal infection because when the place is moisty, it encourages the development of the fungi. Exactly. And secondly, we move on to the genital ulcers. When you look at these pictures, the male organ has an ulcer on the prepuce where the tip of the penis is. And normally this is an uncircumcised penis. Mostly people with uncircumcised penis are likely to pick infections early because of the foreskin around. So when you look at it, the sore is just around here. And then for the female, they are also likely to pick it. I did mention of the genital ulcer that will enhance the transmission of HIV. And this time, this thing is syphilis in nature. Now we're having a common one that is called the genital herpes, which looks like a blister, and it's very common. The first episode, the woman is likely to have a pain around the waist, and then the place is very itchy and painful. Before you realize you see a sore there. When it happens this way, please report immediately because the first episode, when you are seen and treated, the likelihood of you not having the subsequent recurrence is also very high. So this is it. So syphilis could also result into a sore. Herpes could also result into a sore. We also have one that we call the chancroid, which could also result into a sore. So there's a need to report to the nearest health facility. Don't be using salt on the sore and waiting for it to heal.
What I will usually say is, all these things are dangerous. That's why they have strange names. So that when you hear them, you know that this is a no-go area. You have to be careful and to beware of these dangerous names that I'm hearing. And the unfortunate thing is that it's so close to us that everybody is susceptible once you put yourself what we call the harm's way.
Yeah.
But let's see, when Uncle Wisdom came, he found a condom first, and then the handkerchief and a few other things that made him realize that something funny is going on in his house. Is it enough, 100%, 99, 50, 80? Is it enough to be comfortable and say, okay, now because you said it, we use condoms and so we are comfortable and go haywire and do whatever we want to do?
Thank you. It's not enough because if you want to assess condom use, it's only the person that got involved in the sexual activity who will tell you as to whether he or she used the condom. Probably they may have played with the condom and he would have penetrated without the condom. So it's not enough seeing the condom, they're telling him that, oh, they use condom and it's enough. Or, you know, they started with the brushing until he had the erection before he wore the condom. So something might have gone wrong before the condom was worn. And as you and I might not even know whether he wore the condom. Yeah. He just saw this as an evidence.
Do you guys mention some of these things in your conversations? STIs, STDs, having to be careful. Hey, I don't want to be pregnant. Or do I have to have a boyfriend? Me, I have only one. I have 6. It's enough. I don't want any more. Tell us some of the things that go in your daily conversations as adolescents. I want to hear you, the young ones. What do you talk about most?
Let's be frank here. I'm speaking for myself. As a boy, when we meet and we are conversing, less than 5 minutes, then we start talking about sexual issues. The truth is that when you are to advise somebody that you are getting, you get the sexual infection, the person say you're cursing him, or especially with the boys, you want to curse me. Like, I wish I could say it in pidgin, actually won't die me. Like, so the person will just say something funny or brush you off that you are thinking negative for the person. Because I think that most of us feel that we know. And that is the issue, and that is what is killing us. We feel we know how to go around things. So I think as this education is going on, I felt that I knew certain things, but looking at how nasty the pictures are, it looks like there's nothing like Pascal with STIs. We need to upgrade that. So you
need to forward it, Forward it to the group. The pictures.
Me as a guy, when I'm conversing with my colleagues, I also raise issues like this. Just like he said, they will go like, "Are you cursing me?" and other stuffs. They think, you know, they play with it, so they think it's
a joke,
not real.
Yeah,
but it's real. And also they think when they use condom, it's 100% safe, which is not. So they should watch out on.
Okay, so let's have a girl conversation. I don't know whether girls meet and they talk about sex. But boys will talk about the fine chicks and what they want to achieve with them and how far they want to go and the future they want to have. Guys, is it right or correct? It's very right. It's very right. It's very right. I like that YOLO approach. So let's see. In the midst of that conversation, you're saying that you're not able to bring out some of the dangers associated with that kind of lifestyle, that kind of thoughts and ideas that comes to mind. What do you want to say?
At times we do mention it, but I think that because the education on the gonorrhea and other stuffs is not out there like the HIV is. So when you talk about those ones, we don't take it serious. Unlike the one we are aware of, that one always your friends will say, I don't want to get HIV/AIDS. I want to do this so that I don't get it. But you talk of the minor ones, we see as is minor, so we don't take it serious.
So it's far away from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're bringing it back to education, right? The more you hear it, the more it's on your face, the more it's at your face, the more you talk about it, or the more it scares you to be careful about them. Stick and stay with us. We go for a break. We'll be right back after this.
You only live your life just once, my party, or so I'm told. Make the most out of
Everything side and a Jody B. Say my name again.
head back, laugh the pain away. Living a better life is the case. You gon' be handle whatever may come your way.
Hey! Hey! What is that?
I forget the rap solo.
Welcome back to the YOLO YMK Chit Chat, and I'm in the house with the hot cast. Lele, alo mi male. Okay, so we have sensitive issues here, but we are cool because it's part of life, and it's better to be armed, you know, than to be just there and then you see you have no information and then you are just doing bubra bubra. Okay, so let's quickly listen to this information from you. What is your motivation to engage in sexual activities as an adolescent, as an individual? What is your motivation? Let me start with my good friend right there.
Okay, one, I would say I have two things in mind when it comes to my motivation. And one, I would say on the sites I see and the other exposed pornographic materials, which also motivates me to have sex. And the second one, I would say, is friends, because friends I'm having, I would say 90% of them had sex.
He's not Drogba, is he? Is he Drogba in your life? No, don't give him the mic yet. Is he the Drogba in your life?
Yeah, Drogba.
He actually looks like Cyril there. But you talk, we'll listen to him and see how Drogba-ish he is. So go on with your information.
So these friends, when we meet, they talk about the sex whilst I'm present there. So it also tells me, like, am I the odd one out? Because it's like I'm practicing an automated cultural practice, but they are always in the
modern
system, And also they'll be telling me, like, when you are going to have sex, or practically when you're going to buy a toffee, you don't chew the toffee with the rubber, but rather you remove the rubber and then you eat the toffee raw. So such examples also pushes me to go and have sex, or it also motivates me.
So are you still with that mindset? Are you still with that mindset? Is this still your daily practice as a young adolescent?
No. As now, it's not yet in my head, because there is so much which has been educated on me and in my mind. Because when I compared my past and now, I can see a very great difference, because the Ghana Health Service, which has come down to my school to open an adolescent health club in the school, has motivated me throughout the daily topics we treat every Thursdays in the school. So I encourage everybody out there to join a health club in the school or an area.
Oh, I'm touched. I'm touched. Let's a lady share her experience.
For me growing up, I had friends who were engaging themselves in all those activities. They had boyfriends and all those stuffs. But looking at me, I was a different person altogether. I wasn't engaging myself from this because of the information I had from my parents. Because of that, it's like they neglected me, which made me very lonely. But from the information I had from my parents, I was able to resist them and then stand.
Okay. So let's come back to Madam Edith. Let's give her, she's done so well. Let's give her a YOLO applause. It looks like this is a huge stone that we have to roll.
Yeah, that's good.
Yo, gradually, and let everybody feel comfortable in their shoes. Let's talk about the last the last STDs that we haven't heard about, and then wrap it up into how we can make it be right at their faces. Today that we've presented it, it's not going to end.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the genital warts, which is a growth. And then if you're unfortunate, it occurs in your vagina, then you have a problem. You might have to be taken to theater for it to be removed.
Wow.
Unlike the one we have outside. So it could happen to the male, it could happen to the female. Looking at where the male have is, if you are having sex and even if you are in condom, you can easily be infected. So that's why we talk about the fact that condom doesn't protect you 100%. The last one has to do with the swelling. Yeah, these are the swellings. And normally these are chlamydia and gonorrhea in nature. So what happens is that you see a swelling. For instance, if you have a sore underneath your feet, you will realize that at a point in time, your lymph nodes at the groin will swell. So this is what happens.
Lymph nodes?
Yes.
Where is the lymph node?
The lymph nodes is at a joint. We have one behind our ears here. There is one at the groin here, in between the thigh and the lower abdomen. And this is what happens. So
you are all familiar with that,
yes,
don't you?
And you could feel it. It normally rotates if you feel it. So this happens as a result of gonorrhea and chlamydia. So when you have this, don't go for an incision. If I talk about incision, don't go for it to be cut. When it is cut, mostly people resort to herbal treatment. And then when it is cut, the wound doesn't heal again.
Is that the only way it can be treated?
Well, normally, it could be treated with treatment. You'll be given an antibiotic to take, and it will resolve. But if you go and it's incised, that's where you have an issue. But when it becomes critical for the incision, you need to see a surgeon to do that. The only way we can prevent STIs is when we use condom consistently and correctly. And for us as adolescents, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? Very well, it's important. Because you can't imagine when Cyril had the intercourse and at a point in time the lady came back that she was pregnant. What would she have done? Or what would Cyril have done? So it goes a long way to affect your future.
Okay. Healthy young people. Healthy young people. Healthy young people. YMK. YOLO. It gets complicated, and I always come back to the fact that it gets scary and it gets a bit confusing, but that is why the chit chat is going on. Don't get it twisted. Don't get bored. Don't get brushing it off. Let it stay with you and spread the message across. Are we going to spread the YOLO message across? Yes. This time, whether you like it or not, tell it to somebody and tell it to somebody. Let it spread like your WhatsApp messages. Let the information be gone as far as it can go. It is not something we can joke about, and we want you to take it critically serious. Are we done here? Yes. Okay. So we want to thank you for joining us on our YOLO YMK Chit Chat. We want to say thank you so much to Madam Edith Asari-Mensah. You have given us something that it will take like a year to actually dissect and inform ourselves about. In this basic minute, some of the terms were huge, but I guess that is how bad the disease can get. So remember to put it together and let us spread the message. Before we say thank you to our sponsors and those who've made this possible, let's quickly acknowledge the presence of Mr. William Dompre Ajay. Mr. William Dompre Ajay is the headmaster of Hodcast. He's not here with us, but we thank you for making it possible for your students to be with us. But we have Mrs. Mina Oye-Mensah. She is the coordinator Full Health Education Program for joining us today here, and Mrs. Evelyn Bomite Folice. She's the guidance and counseling coordinator for Hodcast. Give her a YOLO clap, and thanks for being here with us today. We want to say thank you to Ghana Health Service, and we quickly want to say thank you to the Director General of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Apia Denchira, and also to the Director Family Health Division, Dr. Yao Abuaje, for doing us the honors of making us meet here to have the YMK Chit Chat. We want to say thank you to National Population Council. We want to say thank you to Ghana Education Service, to Palladium and UK Aid for facilitating this and making it happen. We will be on your screen again as you watch YOLO, and we will come your way with a YMK Chit Chat. God bless you, stay healthy, and be a good child. Healthy young people! Healthy young people!
You only live once. My mama might be pissed. Because this YOLO. You only live once. Because YOLO.
We the high, we the boost. North K, one shot for the hood. The kind of normal thing where we they do. It be the normal thing where we they do like.